Right boys, today I'm gonna show you an exact process about booking the calls, booking the appointments. Trust me, it's not something complicated, just don't overthink it. I'm sure you're probably not overthinking it. You've maybe already been on a few calls, and also I hope that you booked a few calls for your client as well. But anyways, we're just going to go through this. There is a correct way of booking these sales calls, right steps to follow when booking them. Simply, you want to make sure that they actually book the call. Sometimes you can send them a booking link and they don't book it for some reason. You'll be like, yo bro, did you book the call? And they just didn't for any reason, I don't know why. And while making sure that they book the call, you also want to make sure that they actually show up on that call. So in order for you to do that, you need to avoid booking the calls with low quality leads. That's what you need to avoid by any means if you want for your show up rate and booking rate to be the best it could possibly be. So those are the guys you want to avoid booking. Your client or a closer will wait for them. He is gonna organize his whole day around that call. That's what I do, and I know from my personal experience that that is how it's supposed to be done, you know, and you just wasted his time because the prospect didn't show up on that call. The thing is that you play a huge role here. You simply have to set up a lead so he's interested, and that there is a high chance of closing the deal. Obviously for your client. Of course, you can assure that by qualifying their budget, if they're even interested in whatever your guy is offering, and if they are able to invest into something your client has to offer, of course. One more thing I wanted to point out is that you need to book the call the same day or the next day at last while the lead is still warm. So book the call while the lead is still warm. The reason behind that is actually pretty simple, and that's because those are the leads that you have to book a call with. If you are in a live conversation, a minute or two between replies, engaging back and forth, you know, that's the perfect time to book a call. That's why I always say that you should reply to these messages as quickly as you possibly can. You should avoid trying to book a call if there is a few hours between every reply, or even a day between every reply, if they are leaving you unseen constantly. Because by booking the call as soon as possible, while the lead is still active, you maximize the chances of the deal getting closed. It's as simple as that. You want that obviously because that's gonna bring more cash for your client and ultimately for you, more commissions for you, yes. You also want for the call to be booked as soon as possible. Preferably, that's what I like to use, within 48 hours. And you'll see the reason why. You want to book the calls within 48 hours. That's what you can talk about actually with your client, because there's a feature on Calendly, the program where you're booking the call, where you can limit how many days in advance people can book the call. The longer the time gap between booking and the actual call, less likely that they're gonna buy or even show up, which is something you want to avoid. They simply might forget about it, which is completely normal, and that's why we wanna do it quickly. Remember boys, speed is the key to success. Now, the next point. People buy off their emotions. I always say that. I always say that people buy off their emotions and not logic. This is very important part. They don't buy on their logic, so you actually trying to convince them something will not do the wonders, because instead of that, you should just try to build kind of relationship and awake some certain emotions in them. They use logic when they have to give you some objection, which I don't understand honestly, but when it comes to buying, they buy off their emotions. If you have found their pain point, built a proper connection and relationship with them, they trust you now. They can't wait to hear what you have to say. They are super excited to see how you can help them solve a certain problem. They are emotional. They are emotional boys, and this is the perfect time to book and ultimately sell them. If you let them sit for a few days, the lead is honestly gonna get cold and they won't be very enthusiastic about your solution anymore. Of course, in some cases, don't get me wrong, the deal can get closed after a few days because maybe they genuinely have some issues on their end in their personal life, but it's less likely than if you were to do it as soon as you can, you know. It's extremely important to take the lead and set an authority when booking that call. you must set an authority when you're booking that call. That's one more thing I want to point out here, simply because when you're booking the call, never, and I repeat, never let them decide when to hop on that call. You can just look at it this way. You propose a call, you say, okay bro, let's have a 15 minutes chat, when would it work for you? Then they might just say, okay man, sounds great, I'm down for that, let's do it next week on Monday. Something completely stupid, you know. Obviously you don't want to wait until then, because you want to do it as soon as possible while the lead is still warm. And if you let them choose, they're gonna put it off for far later in the future, as far as they possibly can, because they don't want to commit. To be honest, I don't know the reason behind it. I don't know why they don't want to commit, but for any reason or another, people are afraid of commitment. Maybe they are actually free later in the day, and still, if you let them choose, they will never suggest it for that same day. Again, I don't know why, but for some reason they can't be bothered to hop on a call that same day. On the other hand, if you propose it for today, they are more likely to agree. So yes, just take the lead basically when booking them onto a call. And I'd actually like to give you an example of the way I like to propose a call with my potential clients, with my prospects, and it's been really successful so far. So, would you be opposed to booking a quick call so I can walk you through the details? Would you be opposed to booking a quick call so I can walk you through the details? It's not pushy, it's not salesy, and it shows that you just genuinely want to help them out, walk them through the details with their certain solution. That line can work for anyone, literally anyone. Of course, you can just slightly change it and reword it to make it sound more suitable for the person you're talking with, but you see what I mean. For example, I'm running my own appointment setting program, and the reason I use it is because after I qualify the lead and see if he's interested, then I propose a quick call, because obviously they want to get started with it as soon as possible. And on that quick call, I can just walk them through the details of how they can actually start. And now, when it comes to Calendly, the app where the leads will be booking the call, they'll have the choice where they can choose the time for the call today, tomorrow, 2 days from now on, etc. What you want to avoid is giving them too many choices. Too much choice is intimidating. You might think more choices will mean it can work for them more. Screw that. That's not how it works. I'd say that only 3 to 4 slots per day. Only 3 to slots per day, maybe 5. Definitely don't go over 5. And like I said, you can set for how many days in advance they can book the call. So as well as this, you also want to let them book for 2 days in advance. Like I said, that's what I do pretty much. That stops them from booking something stupid like next week on Monday. And my advice to you is definitely, after they agree to hop on a call, ask them for something called micro commitment. So, micro commitment. And what that pretty much is, you ask them if they would like to hop on a call, they agreed, and now they need to book it onto the calendar. And for you to actually send them that calendar, you ask something like I do. Is it cool if I send you my calendar so you can find the best time for yourself? This is a question I use, and this is called micro commitment. So that's pretty much the combo you want to be having. Your client has to set up the calendar so the leads literally must book it only a day or 2, possibly 3 days in advance. And if you set up your calendar correctly, you have a huge advantage. And my main point is that you must set up the pace of doing everything quickly. If the first impression is something lazy like tomorrow, let's think about it, any of that shit, your chances are decreasing so much. So what I want to say is, get the call booked as soon as you qualify them and as quickly as possible. Pretty much, I think I've covered everything for today. Just a quick nice video, I think it's gonna help you out. And yes, that's how you go about booking the calls. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope this helps. I'd appreciate if you liked and subscribed, or even commented down below if you need some additional help. And yeah, see you in the next video. Keep grinding, boys.